Did you get Mr. House in there?
Yeah.
Oh. He can't chase me to the voiceover.
Mr. House, President and CEO. Red, white, black, you get a 0/4 legendary artifact creature human with whenever you roll a 4 or higher, create a 3/3 colorless robot artifact creature token. And if you roll a 6 or higher, instead create that token and a treasure token. You can pay 4 and tap him to roll a 6-sided die, plus an additional 6-sided dice for each mana from treasures spent to activate this ability.
He can't chase me in here. He thinks that New Vegas was made by Bethesda. He's gonna be too busy buying Skyrim. For only $25, this deck is not as much of a gamble as you might think it is. I'd backed it with enough planning and preparation so that luck will almost always be on your side. I mean, if RNGesus isn't there for you to take the wheel, then you might be doing poorly, but with enough statistical probability, the law of large numbers, and game theory manipulation, we can push this secondary precon commander to its absolute diabolical limits. Whoa, hold up. You can't just gamble in this casino. There are ground rules. Wait, can you and I both exist in this universe? No. Well, now that that's settled, firstly, treasures in this deck are not mana ramp. You use them only for Mr. House's ability, and the only other time you'd use treasures is if it can guarantee you're gonna make more treasures than what you use. I'd only give you one exception, and that's to help pay for the abilities that would copy the ability to roll dice. So you just pay an additional 1 usually, and then you would copy it, so you'd roll 10 dice instead of a few. We'll get to that later. As much as it seems like a no-brainer, you should seriously leave these treasures just for his ability alone. Okay. Rule 2. Only ever roll for maximum. I know it would seem tempting to roll for less, but your higher chances of getting more things is if you actually decide to roll for the maximum number. So 4 treasures, always. Do not roll for 3, do not roll for 2 unless absolutely necessary. Your average return for rolling maximum will be 3 robots and 1 treasure. I mean, it can be more or less because obviously it still is based on luck, and copying the ability can actually make it a lot more likely to get, 6 robots, 2 treasures. And C, you...
I am the stronger Cody.
No more rules. It's time to gamble our life away. But first, we need to make some treasures with Jan Jansen. Jan Jansen Chaos Crafter. For red, white, and black, you can get a 3/3 legendary creature Gnome Artificer with haste. You can tap him to sacrifice an artifact creature to create 2 treasure tokens, or you can tap him to sacrifice a non-creature artifact to create 2 1/1 colorless construct artifact creature tokens. The haste is useful because we can cast him immediately and then pop a robot to get 2 more treasures because we can stockpile with what we would normally have just called a dud roll. And there are some other effects in here that can turn our robots into treasures in some more interesting ways, like Mahadi Emporium Master. Essentially, we can make a really bad swing, bring Mahadi out, and then it'll count how many creatures died in combat, our opponents included, and then make that many treasures at the end step. It can get crazy. There's also Rose Room Treasurer, which means that 2 of your rolls in a single turn will actually be 6s if you get at least 4 or 5. And if they are a 6, then congratulations, they're another treasure. And then we can also just bolt something for the 3rd creature that comes in if we really want to. We don't really have to because we want to be spending this mana to get more things that will get us more treasures, but it's up to you. Or you can do Horde Hauler. It's a 5/5 with trample, so it's going to be pretty nice on its own. But if it hits a player, you get as many treasures as they have artifacts. So you can crew it with one of your robots with crew 3. So just hit them, and then you'll get that many treasures, and you can just save them for Mr. House's ability to go gambling. And there are plenty of other one-time effects that we have that can actually get us a bunch of treasures just at once, like Brass's Bounty, Hit the Motherlode, Indulge in Excess, Blood Money, Attempted Murder, Spiteful Repossession, etc. They all just one-time effect, get you some treasures, and usually differing amounts. Brass's Bounty is probably the best for, straight up getting treasures for lands, but every single one of them can do it pretty dang well. And I mean, as long as you're getting 4, you're good anyway. But before we continue to gamble though, let's just see how lucky I get with these packs.
Hi guys, welcome back to another pack unopening. I got a few more collector's boosters, and so I've been kind of hopeful that I'll be able to get some good cards out of these. With the Fallout set, I've been pretty excited for it, so let's just check it out. I mean, thanks to you guys helping me out on my Discord, I've been able to free up time. Discord link in the description. You can see exactly what we do in our little community, and we'll be able to make new cards, have some fun. Alright, looks like I got... Dang. It's another one of those basic packs. I wish I didn't print these anymore. Ever since they did that whole Theros pack thing. I just really hate the fact that you can sometimes get basic packs. It's not fun, man. Alright, time to go and figure this out. But yeah, thanks for you guys joining my Discord. Also, I'd like to... Here. See, it's another one of those freaking basic packs, man. And they don't even give you any foils. That sucks. Alright, well, I mean, basics are not... In this last pack, I mean, I bet it's just gonna be... Yeah, it's the same. It's just all basics. It kind of sucks. I mean, yeah, at least we got a foil basic in this one. I thought these collector's packs were supposed to have some. Well, thank you guys anyway. Thanks for letting me hit, I guess, 700 subscribers. That's pretty cool. I guess we can get more, right? Yeah, subscribe and like. It's pretty awesome. Do whatever you can to the button. Make sure you don't get caught for it. Thanks, guys. Hopefully I don't get any more land packs.
Oh, yep. They got guns on them. That's going to be dangerous. That's going to be... Oh, hi, welcome back. How you doing? So now we know that all we want to do is activate him for his full 4 every single time. Roll 5 dice and get as many things as we can out of his own ability. But how are we going to do that and abuse that? Let's copy the effect with things like Kirkesh.
Kirkesh, Onaki Ancient, is 2 red for a 4/3 legendary creature, Ogre Spirit. Whenever you activate an ability of an artifact, if it isn't a mana ability, you may pay red. If you do, copy that ability. You may choose new targets for the copy.
For just a red, you copy Mr. House's ability. It doesn't matter if you spend any treasures on the red, you don't have to do that again. You just copy it. So if you spent 4 treasures, you are rolling 10 dice. That is an insane amount of value for just 5 mana. You'll see similar ways to copy it on things like Battle Mage's Bracers, Illusionist Bracers, and those are really it. That's all we really have for copy effects. There are additional ones, I'll talk about them later. It's good enough because having just one of these is enough to get you an insane amount of value. So most of the robots are going to be staying behind as blockers, and we're going to have a lot of treasures kind of stored up as like Mr. House battery storage. We don't really want to be attacking it as often as we can. We won't necessarily have the means to do so. How then do we kill our opponents without relying on luck? We could do drain effects, like things with Ingenious Artillerist.
Ingenious Artillerist is 2 in red for a 3/1 creature human artificer that says whenever 1 or more artifacts enter the battlefield under your control, Ingenious Artillerist deals that much damage to each opponent.
Every single artifact entering the battlefield, allowing you to drain each opponent for that number. You get 4s or above, that's 1. You get 6s, that's 2. On your average rolls, that's 4 every single time you roll Mr. House to each opponent. Crazy numbers on an ETB for those effects. And each of these do it in their own different way, but you'll see similar types of like drain effects, not necessarily to each opponent on like Marionette Master where it's target opponent. Merkwa Bats making sacrificing tokens will do that. Nadier's Nightblade, sacrificing tokens to also do that. I mean, each of those care about those tokens leaving the battlefield or just being sacrificed in some way. Gonna be crazy amounts of life drain that you aren't gonna need to really care about having all these attackers. You will just be able to use them for blockers. Or you can get Brazendorf. He's just a little guy. He just sits there. Every time you roll, just 1 damage. 1 damage to each opponent. That's it. You roll twice, it's 2 damage. Just pretty cool. He's a good guy. He doesn't do a lot, but he's there. We got him. Get him. But I mean, rolling is really what we want to do anyway. So how do we make sure that we can roll again and again and again and again and again and again?
Lulu Loyal Hollyphant. 3 and a white gets you a 3/2 legendary creature, Elephant Angel with Flying. And at the beginning of your end step, if a permanent you controlled left the battlefield this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on each tapped creature you control, then untap them. You may also choose a background.
Now we can at least double how many times we activate our commander. At our end step, he untaps. So does everything else that ended up being tapped, and he gets a 1/1 counter. Which isn't bad, but going from a 0/4 to a 1/5 is at least better than nothing. An additional time to activate him isn't as great as copying him, but on top of the fact that we can copy him for probably 5 mana, that means that we're rolling 20 dice each turn cycle rather than 10, or 10 dice each turn cycle rather than just 5. So it's always a good idea to be able to untap it as often as we possibly can. You'll see similar ways to do it with like Clock of Omens, or you get, White Plume Adventurer or Voltaic Servant for just at least once end step. Each of these are great untappers, do it at different times. You can get Sting, the Glinting Dagger, does it every single combat. It's a little bit above $1, but like, it's way too good. It gets haste too. Like, come on, you gotta have it. It's great. Or we can just start manipulating our rolls because, if they're not paying attention, we could just say, hey, we rolled whatever we wanted. Barbarian class is a 1 red enchantment class with 3 levels. First level says if you would roll 1 or more dice, instead roll that many dice plus 1 and ignore the lowest roll. You can pay 1 on a red to go to level 2, which says whenever you roll 1 or more dice, target creature you control gets +2/0 and gains menace until end of turn. And you can pay 2 on a red to go to level 3 to say creatures you control have haste.
This is the first time I've ever run Barbarian class as actually something to modify dice rolls, so it's kind of an exciting time for me. Usually I run it to pay 5 mana to grant haste on an enchantment, which can be done for 3 mana in most decks. I mean, modifying these dice rolls is really a great ability to have anyway, because you're rolling essentially 6 dice and just saying, I don't like that one. Do that with things like Will too. Will just gets that same effect, but Will also get a counter every time you roll dice, so he just gets bigger as the game goes along. Then you also got Night Shift of the Living Dead. Gonna be honest, kind of funny. You can pay some life to increase or decrease the dice roll by 1. Don't ever decrease it. Don't hurt yourself like that. Always increase it. Don't increase a 6. That's a stupid thing to increase. But by the end of it, as long as you do it for 1 of the dice, you can usually just kind of eke your way into more value and, you know, put the odds a bit more in your favor. And finally, I do this in every video. There's a category that I can't quite pick out, and so I'm just going to talk about some really fun cards that I like. And this is just where I talk. This one, cool things. Magda, Brazen Outlaw. Magda Brazen Outlaw is a 1 and a red for a 2/1 legendary creature Dwarf Berserker that says other dwarves you control get +1/+0, and whenever a dwarf you control becomes tapped, create a treasure token. Sacrifice 5 treasures, search your library for an artifact or dragon card, put the card into the battlefield, then shuffle your library. All you're gonna do is you're gonna make a bunch of treasures, and eventually you're gonna wanna sacrifice some of them because she can get those artifacts for you. We also have Feldon of the Third Path. There's a lot of things that happen in this deck. I mean, Dahada is in here. Always -3 if you can. That's 4 treasures, almost always. The only exception to not putting it in the graveyard is Feldon, because Feldon's the one that we want to pull from the graveyard so we can be comfortable putting everything there. So Feldon to hand, everything else to grave. And finally, for those with money, you can leave. This is a budget channel. Why are you here? I'm just kidding, we're going to the upgrades. Ancient Copper Dragon. Triple the price of this deck, almost, and you get an Ancient Copper Dragon. But you also get to roll a d20 for as many treasures as you want each combat, so there's that. It's an amazing card. It's worth the $60 price tag that it has, but I'm not paying that much, so to the printers. You also got Delina, Wild Mage. You can attack with her and get 1 copy at least of Mr. House, non-legendary, to just have 2 of them or more. And plus, if you swing at somebody who can't kill her, you can do it again the next time you can swing with her. That's gonna be good. And every time you roll that d20, you're gonna make that robot or the treasure or whatever. And it's gonna be probably a treasure and a robot every single time you roll it because it's a d20. Or we could go to that other copy effect I was alluding to, Lithoform Engine. Essentially, we can just get any of the permanents that we need to help copy effects, get more of those, or we can copy the ability just by paying 2. It is like $4, but it also copies the ability or permanence, or literally just use it if you can. If you have it, why not put it in? And for a card that I have no idea why it's this expensive, Clown Card. Why are you $3? It's X. It's a vehicle Hydra for clowns in Un. I mean, I get it, but you just pay X and you roll that many dice. That's better than Mr. House's ability because it doesn't need you to have treasures. Plus it crews 2 for a 1/1, not bad, but like, it's weird, it's stupid. Use it, it's fine. This deck's whole thing, as you can see, I did not build it around the d20 mechanics. I mostly built it around rolling dice, copying abilities, and making treasures. So we'll leave Mr. House to roll the dice. We'll leave some random offhand effects to roll d20s, just for, you know, having that capability. But for the most part, we're stockpiling treasures as much as we possibly can to get Mr. House to have as much money as he deserves, because he is the best. Now, if you'll excuse me, somebody left some raisin on life support, so I gotta go shut that off or something.